Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World. Ever since we had our last vote where you guys voted in that I should focus a little bit on the Switch Axe, you also voted quite a bit on the Insect Glaive, so I figured I would go over that one next. And I did my Insect Glaive build. I decided to call it the Archangel for two reasons. One, because the glaive naturally can do the whole pogo stick action and fly through the air for quite an extended amount of time. And two, because of the look and feel of the build itself, because you guys can see that I'm using Xenoziva's chest piece, which also has wings. So I figured, Archangel would be a really good name for this build. So what do we do immediately after making an Archangel build? We put a friggin' demonic looking weapon on it, because why the hell not? Am I right? So let's go over the build itself, shall we? We're going to start with the weapon. The weapon we are using is Catastrophe's Light. Now, before you guys think, oh, but I can probably use all kinds of different weapons with this build, I'm going to have to go ahead and say this build is probably not going to be as good with other weapons, because the reason Catastrophe's Light is so good is because it's got blue sharpness and it's got full blue sharpness, so it's going to last you quite a while. Because unfortunately I don't have a lot of decoration slots in this particular build, therefore I don't even have space to put in my sharpness gem if I want to get all the skills that I intended to get with the build, which is why it makes this weapon such a good fit for it. And on top of it, it also has really high base damage, coming in at 651. It is definitely one of the highest damaging insect glaives without going into Diablo's territory. It's got neutral affinity, so it does allow you to crit quite often, so long as you put in a couple of gems that allow you to take advantage of that. We also have Dragon Element 150, even though I don't pay that much attention to the element on this weapon. I am going a little bit more for that base attack. But it's also got Elder Seal High, which makes it pretty good for hunting down Elder Dragons, if that is your thing. And it has a Kinsect bonus of Sever Boost. So naturally, if you are using Sever type Kinsects, you're going to benefit quite a bit. Now, when it comes to the Kinsect, there is a little bit of leeway there. You guys can use whatever Kinsect you want. I went with the Pseudo-Cath 3, which has also a Sever attack. Like I said, you want to try and use Sever Kinsects since they're going to be dealing a little bit more damage. The dust effect on Pseudo-Cath 3 is Blast, which makes it one of the best Kinsects when it comes to actually dishing out damage. But like I said, you can use whatever Kinsect you want. Like you want a Paralyzed Kinsect for bringing in more utility, you're free to do so. You want, I don't know, a Poison Kinsect, a Healing Kinsect. You can use whatever you want. It is completely up to you. You'll also notice that I don't have an element in my Kinsect. That's because since I'm mostly going to be using this weapon with this build, I want my Kinsect to be an all-rounder, and therefore I didn't put an element on it. However, if you want to have like specific Kinsects to go up against specific monsters, you might want to consider actually aligning the element against the weakness of that monster, because there's clearly going to be an advantage there. Moving right along, we got the Basil Helm Beta, which I get for the earplug skill. And I know you guys are going to be like, oh, look at Rurikhan using earplugs on all of his builds now all of a sudden. And the reason is this particular build also has a bit of setup involved in the fact that you need to get your buffs, and after you get your buffs, you don't want to be wasting any time getting roared. Also, when it comes to the Insect Glaive, whenever you jump out of into the air and you want to like do a leaping attack into a monster, he can roar you out of the sky, which puts you in a vulnerable position. So very much like the Switch Axe, I wanted to keep things moving along whenever I'm with this build, because whenever you get the 3 buffs, you don't want to be wasting time being roared at or anything of that nature. You're just like, look, I got my 3 buffs, I'm going to beat your face in. So that's why we're going with earplugs. So we got the Basil Helm Beta there. Next up, we got the Xenoziva Hide Beta. The reason we're getting that is for the Power Prolonger, which is pretty damn good. It's going to extend the amount of time that you're going to be getting your buffs, which is going to be even better when the new patch hits on the 22nd of March, because they're going to extend extract buff durations overall. So basically, Power Prolonger is going to extend that even more. At least that's the way that I read it, which to me is all good times. The longer I got my buffs, the better. Then we got the Kaiser Van Brace's Alpha for the Weakness Exploit, because we're not going to be able to get the Dragon King Eye Patch because we already got a Basil Helm in there. So this is usually the piece of gear that I go for whenever I can't get Weakness Exploit on head. Then we got the Basil Coil Beta on the belt, and naturally this is also to get the next bit of earplugs, because if you're going to go earplugs, you either go full whammy or you best not even go at all, okay? At least that's the way that I like to look at it. And then finally we have the Xenoziva Spurs, which are going to give us flinch free and the final power prolonger. Now, flinch free is also cool because you're not going to get flinched out of the sky even if you don't have the orange buff by arc shots or anything else that can give you a minor flinch. That's going to be a problem. You're not going to get flinched out of your combos by longsword users. You know, it just gives you that little bit of extra resistance to that type of flinching, even if you happen not to have the orange buff at the time. And then finally, to round out the build, we have Attack Charm level 3. Now, when it comes to decorations, like I told you, we don't have a whole lot of slots to play around with, which is why I went for a very specific playstyle. And this particular playstyle, I feel, also really benefits your friends if you happen to be in a multiplayer setting, but also benefits you if you happen to be in solo, and you guys will see why. So starting with the Xeno'jiiva Spurs, we put an attack jewel in there. That's going to take us up to level 4 attack jewel so that you also get the affinity benefit of the attack boost. Then we also have an earplugs jewel on the basal coil beta, essentially completing earplugs all the way up into level 5. Then on the Kaiser Vambraces alpha and the Xeno'jiiva hide beta, we have drain jewels, which is going to take stamina thief up to the max. And the reason why I like having Stamina Thief in there is because if you just spam attack a monster, like this weapon is pretty damn fast. So if you attack a monster really fast, even if you are in the air and you're just like doing aerial attacks on top of a monster, you're going to be draining its stamina and eventually he's going to get a little bit tired. Now this is useful if you're playing by yourself because Masa gets tired, you get to abuse him a little bit. It's also useful if you're playing with friends because Masa gets tired and everybody gets to abuse him. So it's good times in my opinion, and it really suits this particular weapon. It's also going to give you a lot more openings during hunts, which is pretty good times to me. So, then we also have on the Basal Helm Beta the Expert Jewel level 1. That's because I really didn't have anything that I wanted to put in there. Like if you have issues maybe with, blights, if you're getting like poisoned or on fire and you're feeling like, oh my god, I'm really vulnerable when this happens, you can put in a Crisis Jewel there, you can put in a Vitality Jewel there. That is the two jewels that you can trade around, is those two expert jewels that you see right there. I just put in expert jewels to give me a little bit more crit on top of the amount of crit I already have. And then naturally you have the Tenderizer Jewel 2, which is going to max out our weakness exploit. And once you put that all together, you're looking at level 5 earplugs, level 4 attack boost for the additional 5% affinity from attack boost, level 3 weakness exploit, level 3 power prolonger to extend your buffs, level 3 stamina thief to wear down the monsters as you are attacking them, 2 levels of critical eye, and 1 level of flinch free. In my opinion, this is a super solid build for the Insect Glaive, whether you are a veteran Insect Glaive user or even if you are just starting out. My good friend Kegarin, who also mains Insect Glaive, has actually told me that he does not feel the need to use Power Prolonger, but I guess that's going to be up to personal preference. If you do not want to have Power Prolonger in there, he advised me that you guys should go ahead and try to get the Kushalada or a chest piece for the additional handicraft, and also the Death Stench legs for the additional handicraft on top of that, and then you can actually use a bunch of different Insect Glaives on the build as well. Me personally, I like having the Power Prolonger in there because it diminishes the time that I have to throw out my Kinsect just for the purpose of getting buffs. But again, it's going to be up to personal preference. What do you guys think about this build? I think it's downright overpowered, considering how powerful I felt while I was doing the hunts that you guys are watching on the background right now. I was like blown away. I'm like, dude, I'm fighting Tempered Azure Rathalos at the same time as friggin' Basil Goose, and I don't feel threatened in the slightest. I thought that was completely insane. But you guys let me know. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.